Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. Today, we are going to look at my revised Bitcoin target of where I feel it could end up, because obviously we've had a wild ride the last week or so. There has been some changes in the market. There's a new administration in play, and so I am going to revise my original Bitcoin target, and so I'm going to share that in just a moment, and we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts. But before we do that, we're going to smash that like. You knew I was going to say that. If you're a regular watcher of the show, this helps get this content out to more people and does help support the channel. I do really appreciate all the comments, the kind words that people leave, that take the time to put those there. Thank you so much for that. And of course, all the questions, I do look to get back to those as soon as possible. There is a cheat sheet that I get asked about. Where is it? And every day I do get asked that, so I do want to let you know in advance. It is the top link in the description of this video and every video, and it is my crypto roadmap for the bull run success. Also in that cheat sheet and in the links in the description below is the Discord, the Stocks with Josh Discord, the most amazing Discord on the planet. I'm in there daily. I just actually dropped some trades in there around 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dropped a bunch of trades in there. So if you're in the Discord, you will have seen those many hours ago. So check out the link to the Discord. It's in the description of this video as well as in the cheat sheet. Okay, so we're going to jump into a couple of articles here. Bitcoin, 110,000 incoming. And this is pretty much what I had for the top of the bull run, somewhere between 100 and 120,000, and 110,000 is the technical target to the upside for this cup and handle. Now, I am looking to revise that target. I think Bitcoin can go higher. I think Bitcoin can go higher. And if we look at British HODL here, I showed this yesterday, and one of the reasons I think can go higher is a new administration that has put value on Bitcoin. Remember, the German government sold Bitcoin at $58,000. Absolutely incredible. I think now I'll have to find the article, share it over the next coming days, where I think they lost out on like $1 billion they would have had extra. But looking here, you can see this article here that if this does go through and we see that the US government is going to put a 200,000 Bitcoin yearly buy order into the market, certainly this would add to MicroStrategy's daily purchase of 20 million per day. And so this analyst is saying that there would be a floor price of Bitcoin of $172,000, increasing to $346,000 in the years to come. Okay, so are we not bullish enough about Bitcoin? Certainly they're interesting. And then here we go. Bitcoin is going to 250,000 post-election, according to the Scalping Pro Mags. In 2016, Bitcoin pumped 2,700%. In 2020, it pumped 360% post-election. In 2024, with a pro-Bitcoin president, even a 240% pump would mean a 250,000 per Bitcoin. So that's another upward target there. So we've got one of 110, we've got one 170, we've got one of 250,000. How high can we just keep going here? We already looked at that article there. And certainly remember for Bitcoin, every US election week in Bitcoin history has been the lowest price it will ever be again. Okay, and that price currently is sitting at 66,835. So what is going to be my price target to the upside? I'm gonna lean more to the 170,000 level there for Bitcoin. That's going to be what I feel can be the upward target. Now I've revised that $70,000, or around $50,000 to $70,000 higher than I had originally put. And now that we have a pro-Bitcoin president and a pro-Bitcoin administration, let me know, have you revised your Bitcoin target to the upside? What do you think Bitcoin is going to get to in the cycle? Now we are post-election. Put your targets to the upside in the comment section below. And certainly we'd love to revisit some of those comments when we reach the top of the cycle and see who got it closest and whose guess was closest. All right, we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts now. And just remember this also, that as far as Bitcoin does go, that 66,835 level is a little bit of a line in the sand. Certainly that's not confirmed as the November low, though. It's not confirmed as the November low, so we'll certainly wait and see if we do get a lower low than that in November. My gut feeling is that is the November low, and that is in already there, and we will see that hold. Okay, so let's look at the Bitcoin charts here. We are seeing Bitcoin push up to try and make a new all-time high. As said yesterday, we have a fair value gap. Now we have the candle close. The upper side of that fair value gap is about 70,400, and the low part of that fair value gap is 70,400. So this, I do regularly see these fair value gaps get filled. Okay, and it doesn't have to be filled completely. We may not see it come all the way down to 70,400. Certainly it could get filled halfway, so around the $72,000 area, where we see some candle closes here that could lead to some support here around $72,600, around that level to $72,900. So we could see it partially filled. Certainly it's not always filled, but they are filled more often than not, number one. And it's like the CME gap. Usually they get filled. And then secondly, we don't always see it filled right away. Sui has a fair value gap that we'll look at also in the altcoin show coming up in a couple of hours, by the way. We'll look at that fair value gap, and I shared about that in the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, there's a link below in the description, and that has a fair value gap. But a previous fair value gap for Sui didn't get filled for 25 days. It took for price to come back into that fair value gap. And so, number one, we may not see it come down here right away. We could see it go up considerably. We could go and hit 80K before we come back and hit this fair value gap. I think 80K now is baked in, it's locked in, and certainly my price prediction for November is around that $80,000 level, because that is the average return in the last two halving cycles was about 20%. Certainly overall for the month of November, it's 40%. However, if you eliminate 2013, which was a whopping 400%, it's not that high. So I see some analysts going, oh, it's going to go to 100K in November because the average return in November is 40%. And 40% would take us up to 100K from obviously when November opened. Certainly, I don't see it that way, because I do see the 2013 has been a little bit of an outlier there for the Bitcoin returns. So I am looking more conservatively around about that 20% range, and that 20% range would take us right up to around 79, 80,000, which we have a Fibonacci up at 79,000. Lo and behold, the average return for Bitcoin in the last two halving cycles, 2016, 2020, is around 20, and that takes us right up to the Fibonacci at about $79,000. Okay, so I'm looking for an $80,000 Bitcoin by the end of November. I feel that is a realistic price target based on previous historical returns for the month of November. Certainly, a 5% return would be much smaller and would be disappointing. Certainly, with everything that has been transpired over the previous weeks, but certainly a 40% return would lead us up to 100K. And while possible, I'll put it there, it's possible because in 2020 we hit around 40% jump in November in 2020. Certainly we may or may not see as bigger returns there. I'm putting in, and look, we aren't far away from 80,000. So let's just put it there that I feel that is a very achievable result there. Certainly, we still have bearish divergence on Bitcoin. To invalidate this, make sure you put the RSI on your charts. To invalidate this, you see the RSI here, and then you see the price relative straight up above it, and then you see the price higher, but the RSI is a little bit lower. So we'd want to see this RSI come above this peak over here. That would invalidate the bearish divergence, okay? The second thing I'll say about bearish divergence is even if this does not get invalidated and it plays out, Bitcoin could go up to 80,000 first. It could go up to 80,000 first before that bearish divergence does play out. It could go up a fair bit more. I've seen it before when you get a bearish divergence and then the price does keep going and then it comes down. So it's a warning indicator and it doesn't always play out right away. And of course, sometimes it doesn't always play out because it gets invalidated. But you can see here the tribal trades trend line strikes again. Here we have price respecting, showing great mad respect to the tribal trades trend line here. And certainly, I do like breaking it down to the 15-minute time frame, because what you can see here is we had retest, successful retest, it holds, it retests, it's hold, it retests. If we were to break down below this trend line here, certainly down to the downside there, and certainly you could use this trend line to get in a trade and you could have made a little bit of money up from when there you go, there you break through, and there's a successful retest there, okay? And it retests and holds, okay? Some of you like to use the word hold. I like to use the word retest. It comes back and it retests this line, or this line holds, and then that's when you get in the trade. That's when you would have got in the trade yesterday, and you could have ridden that trade all the way up to, where are we there? Up to all the way up to about 76,726. Then here you can get back in the trade. We come down, we retest from below, and there's no rejection. So you stay in the trade, you get in the trade, or you can get in the trade on another retest. Multiple retests here, as you can see. And we just had our latest retest a few hours ago. We had another retest over here. This would have been a place to get in the trade here at 75,824 if you're doing a swing trade or leverage, futures leverage trade or derivatives trading, or even trading swing trade with spot. Jumping in here, certainly that was the entry. If we do see that and comes down again, that's the swing trade entry there at around 75,851 on the tribal trades trend line. Certainly you can, I like to get out at exactly the same place that I got in with my stop loss. It's really easy to do. You just wait, it breaks below, and then when it comes up and retests it at resistance. So up above, it's retesting it as support. If it holds, you get in the trade. So it's funny, you get in the trade at the same place you get out of the trade, and you eliminate your stop loss losses, certainly while you're sleeping. And if you're still in the trade, if you were sleeping while this was happening, then you would want to either move your stop loss up with the trade to protect the profit, or put your stop loss somewhere where you feel you want to put that for an acceptable loss. Now, if you're up here, you shouldn't have any acceptable loss. You should have moved your stop loss up, and your stop loss would be where your acceptable profit is. You don't want to lose any more profit. And then, of course, if you put your stop loss, if you enter the trade here, for example, and you can move your stop loss up with the price, or you can leave it here or a little bit lower. But stop losses are always relative to how much are you willing to lose on this trade, or how much profit are you willing to give up on the trade if the trade was to come back, okay? And so here what we're looking for is, obviously we could just keep motoring up, and this could turn out to be a very good trade. We do have a big order block here at the new all-time high, so this could be a place to take some profits off the table. Or you can also see how it reacts when it gets to the all-time high up here. I'll put a little alert here around this level. How is it going to react when it gets there? If it actually gets up there and it breaks through and then retests as support, then I would stay in the trade and just keep riding it up to 80,000. But if it hits there and rejects and then retests and rejects again, that would be a place to get out of the trade. And same here again, if this was to come down, or if you were to wait, if you missed this trade here or these trades over here and it comes down and you get in the trade and then it kind of sits around here for a little while and then it dumps down, the place that I get out of the trade is on the retest of this line here. If it rejects at resistance, then I can get out of the trade there for Bitcoin there. So that's the Bitcoin trade for today. Certainly I gave some levels in the Discord. The levels I gave on the video yesterday are all still very relevant. You know, you've got the Fibonacci down here at 73,562. So that's inside the fair value gap. We may just see a partial fair value gap filled, and so it can come down, tag that. Certainly down at the Tribal Trades trend line around that $70,000 level, or we could come down a little bit further to this Fibonacci here at 68,500. So those would, if we were to see the bearish divergence play out and it does not get invalidated, those would be the areas. Certainly the fair value gap right in the middle here around 72,000 certainly could be an area which is just under the Fibonacci. We could see a wick come down and then bounce off, but that could be a good place to get in a few trades there. So trade with caution. We've got the weekend coming up as well. There can be a lot of volatility in the markets, but until the next episode, the altcoin show in a couple of hours, happy trading.